Hey, how's it going everyone? What is up and welcome back to the channel and another Fight Talk video. If you don't know what Fight Talk is, this is a series where we talk about everything to do with fighting games, around fighting games, and sometimes, like we're starting now, I'm going to show you guys what specific game mechanics are and how to use them in a fighting game, because fighting games can be very, very intimidating when it comes to neutral, footsies, frame data, which is what we're talking about today, and so many other terms that we're going to go through over the next few weeks to try to help some people get better at fighting games, because I know there's a lot of people out there that want to play fighting games, but they think it's way too intimidating, when in reality it's not. Mostly it's muscle memory and learning footsies and neutral futsal, which is it's complicated because it just takes a lot of game time. This is one of the more simple things to learn when it comes to fighting games, but can still be very intimidating and very complicated to start off with. But before we get into it, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and also turn on notifications, and also like the video. It helps out the channel more than you could ever know. And don't forget to leave me a comment down below. Let me know what fighting game mechanic you'd like me to go over next. Make sure to leave those, because I'd like to know. I have a list, but you know, if somebody's needing help with something over something else, then of course I'd rather do that first. Also, don't forget about the Patreon. If you want to support the channel on Patreon and have your name at the end of the video in every video, go to the link in the description down below and head over to my Patreon and support the channel on there. It's a great way to keep us going, because as most of you know, ads don't pay much at all. But also we have a tournament series, hear more about that at the end of the video, and also an Aftermath giveaway, hear more about that at the end of the video too. But let's go ahead and jump into this. So here we are, Mortal Kombat 11, we got Joker and Sub-Zero loaded up. So frame data is all these numbers right here on the right, as you can tell. There's a lot of numbers there: startup, active, recovery, cancel, hit advantage, block advantage, flawless block advantage. Then you got your damage, your block damage, your flawless block damage up there, what the move type is. So it's very intimidating off the start, and actually not every game has... Every fighting game, not every one of them has all of this shit laid out like this. Like, NetherRealm Studios is really good about that. It's really good about getting people into actually playing fighting games by making the fighting games a little bit easier to learn, with tutorials and actually having the frame data here. On Street Fighter, you don't have the fucking frame data. You go and you look for that shit. Same with Dragon Ball. Tekken's also really good about it, and I'm not sure about the Guilty Gear series. I'm yet to get into that yet. So, we're not going to start with this stuff. I'm going to teach you what startups are with this stuff, for punishes and stuff. And really we're going to be talking about strings and special moves when it comes to frame data, because that was the easiest way for me to actually learn it. But right here we have startup, okay? So we're going to start with startup. This is your, we're going to start with punishes, really, your frame data for punishes. But let me explain frame data real quick. So frame data is the amount of time that it takes for a move to either start up, how long the move is actually active for, how many frames it's active for, how many frames there is a recovery for, how many frames you are hit advantage on, which means you can press buttons faster than someone else can, you can move before someone else can, block advantage is, like, again, how long it is before you can move compared to the other person when they block it, and then flawless block advantage, which is the same thing but off a flawless block. So frame data, in reality, frames are, so there's 100 frames to a second, I believe, if I'm remembering right. Yeah, there's 100 frames to a second. So this startup is 8 frames, so it's 8 1/100ths of a second, something like that, 8/10ths of a second, something like that. Math is hard, but either way, there's 100 frames in every second, I believe, when it comes to this. So this is 8 frames. That's 8 frames, 8/100ths of a second. So that's what that is. The lower it is, the better it is. The higher it is, the worse it is. If it's minus, that's no buenas for you. Okay, so this is an 8-frame startup for a standing 1, which is a really good punish, because if Sub-Zero does something unpunishable, if I could actually get him to do something punishable. Okay, I'm a horrible person. I suck at the game, but as soon as he does it, it's a little bit weird when it comes to some things about punishing with standing 1s, but if that would have been pretty much any other character, Sub-Zero gets a little bit of leniency there when it comes to standing 1 punishes. This would punish it. So that's a very quick. 8-frame startup for a move is very quick, and that's why down 1s are so good, because it's a 7-frame startup. Your active frames is how long the move is actually active for. So this is active for 2 frames, so 2/100ths of a second, that is active. So it takes 8 frames to start up, 8/100ths of a second to start up, and then it's active for 2/100ths of a second, which is cool. And it has 18 recovery frames. So all that time that it takes between starting up active frames, as soon as it's not active anymore, it has 18 100ths of a second. So to recover. So you could get punished very easily for doing that out in the open. Remember, the higher it is, the worse it is. But that's not true when it comes to hit advantage. When it comes to hit advantage, that's really good. So on hit, you're +3. So if you accidentally throw out a standing 1, you're +3, which means you can move 3 frames quicker than they can. So you can move 3 100ths of a second quicker than they can. That's why when it comes to hit advantage or block advantage, the higher number it is, the better it is. And then block advantage, if they were to block it, so, oh god, what did I do? If Sub-Zero actually blocks that, if he blocks that, I'm -3, which is safe. We'll go over what's safe and what's not a little bit later in the video, but I'm safe right there. So I can still move fairly quick. It's pretty much set back to neutral, and neutral means that, you know, we can both pretty much press buttons about the same time. So it's reset to neutral there, you're completely safe. So the lower that number is, from the minus all the way, like, so from like -8 down and then up out of the minus, that's really good when it comes to block advantage. Hit advantage, you always want to be a high number. Block advantage, you always want to be a plus number, which is something without a minus, and if it is minus, you don't want it to be a very high minus number. So to go over what that actually means, safe and unsafe. Safe is, so if we go, this is when we get into this. Okay, so we take a -12 move. Hit advantage of 22 though, so we have a -12 move. Okay, so -12 is really punishable. So if I were to do that, so you easily get a punish on that. That's -12. So here's the thing about that. When it comes to actually punishing stuff, when it comes to the frames for it, anything from -7 down is safe. So a move like this is extremely safe. You're extremely safe. You're -2 there. So you're safe. They cannot hit you, they cannot punish you, it's pretty much reset to neutral. And you always want to, if you ever end a string, you always want to be safe or plus. So that move right there, that's safe. It starts with a high though. His forward 142 is -6, so you're still really safe. You're still really safe. There's nothing they can do to you. You're just safe. They can actually press buttons a little bit quicker than you though. So you do want to block it. It's technically not your turn anymore. Anything from like -1 to -5, it's pretty much reset to neutral. But from -6 to -7, which is still safe, but it's still the other person's turn. So you really want to pay attention to that. So his 1, 2, 3, that is other person's turn, but they don't get a free hit. 1, 2, 2, you get punished for. 1, 2, 1, it's reset to neutral. So you both can press buttons at about the same amount of time. So that's how that works. But now we get into plus frames. So let's go down here to Joker. He should have a plus frame somewhere, I thought. Okay, Joker didn't have a plus move, so we switched over to Sub-Zero. He didn't have a plus string. Sub-Zero has a very plus move that people actually use a lot. It's not a plus string. So that is +4 on block advantage. So +4 on block advantage means that you can press buttons. If you do this move, it is still your turn. So there's certain moves, usually when you do a move, it's either reset to neutral where you can both press buttons at the same time. It's either their turn to press buttons, but you can't get hit by it, or you get punished for it. A move that is plus, which is anywhere from 1, pretty much 0, because you can press buttons a little bit quicker, I've noticed, even though it's basically like actually reset to neutral. Anywhere from 0 up on the scale is plus. So +4 here means it is still my turn. +4 means I can press a down 1 way quicker than they're going to be able to do anything. It is still my turn to press buttons. So if you do forward 4 into his mix, if you do forward 4 into, if you just want to keep it real safe and make sure you can catch someone pressing buttons, catch them with a down 1, it's still your turn on hit advantage. But, you know, most people will do this into this. Most people will do this. Other people will know it's plus, and they will just hold block. So it is still your turn there. If you do this move, it is still your turn. And that's not going to stop people from actually poking out of it, but it is still your turn. A lot of people will try to poke out of plus frames too. That's just the nature of it. People are going to try to poke out of plus frames. If you do this, you're going to have someone, of course, just sitting here doing this, trying to get you to, you know, trying to knock you out of your plus frames. But if you time it just right, they're not going to be able to knock you out of that. You time it just right, someone tries to press buttons, you're getting a free combo. Easy peasy lemon squeezy, like no problem to it. But you have to know what buttons to press because that's where the actual math comes into it. So if you're +4 on this move, you're wanting to use your quickest startup move. So let's go to the single moves page. You're not going to want to use his forward 2, which is a startup of 19, because if you're +4, that's going to take 4 frames off of the startup, I've noticed. So if it's usually +19, you're +4, that gives you 4 extra frames before they can actually press a button. So that takes that move down to 15 frames of startup. That's still a lot of startup, that's still very interruptible. But if you go to your down 1, that makes it a startup of 2, I've noticed. So that's really quick. It takes 4 frames off of that, like I said. You have 4 extra frames before they can even think about pressing a button, and that makes that a startup of 2. But the best thing I've noticed for Sub-Zero is making this a 9-frame startup, I believe. A 9-frame startup, so they can still kind of knock you out of it if you're not careful about it. If you time it right, you're going to catch them every time. So that's where the real math comes in. It's very confusing. I don't even know if I'm explaining that right. I might get called stupid, but that's just how I think about it. I think about it out of the fact of if I do something that's +4, that's going to shave about however many frames that the move is +4. So +4, it's going to shave 4 frames off of startup of another move. So it'd make my down 2 a 6-frame down 2. If they try to press buttons, they're going to get caught by... If they try to press standing 1 on a +4 move, they're going to get caught by a 6-frame down 2. You know, that's how I've always looked at it, and it's always worked for me. I could be thinking about it wrong, but that's how I've always went about it, and that's how it's always worked for me, and it really has always worked for me. So that's really the basics of frame data. It's a lot to take in. It's a lot to actually think about, but if you just go about it as in your frames are like hundredths of a second, you know, you understand when you can press buttons, when you can't press buttons, when you should press buttons, and what moves not to do because you're going to get punished. Mostly in this game, the punishable moves are actually like mix-up moves. So like Sub-Zero's forward 2 is actually -6. I need to stop actually going into the full string for that because I'm an idiot. But here we go. If you accidentally finish it with forward 2-4, it's -19. You're getting punished really hard. You should never do that. But if you do forward 2 into back forward 3, that's -20. It is a really good mix, but it's really, really punishable. So if you get caught, you're taking a full punish easily there. So it's really just understanding. It's really not that hard when you get into it. It only gets hard when you're like doing what actually confuses me and what I have a hard time explaining with shaving off, like what moves you should use after being plus. That's when it gets really, really interesting and really, really like confusing. But once you like get it down in your own way in your head, it's not that hard, especially if you're good at math. But when it comes down to the block advantage and the hit advantage means if I hit someone, they have a long time, and that's good for staggers, really good for staggers. If I hit someone, that's how you leave someone actually in a restand, and I don't think either of these characters have a very good restand. I actually am very wrong. Sub-Zero has a very, very good restand. If I can remember what it is, I believe it's forward 2. Forward 2. No, it's not forward 2. It's not down 2. Excuse me while I figure this out. Hit advantage of 6. So you go into this combo, you go into your whole combo, end it there, and you're doing pretty good. So if you end it there, I usually end it with this, and that is back forward 4. That's a hit advantage of 10. So you do your whole combo, you end in this, you are hit advantage of 10. So there is 10 frames there you have to move before anyone else can, which is actually insane, and why you see so many Sub-Zeros do this, because you see he's still recovering while I'm able to move and go into another mix. That's why you see so many Sub-Zeros ending that. So if you ever want to get into restand characters, looking at their hit advantage frame data is like the thing to actually understand how to restand a character. It won't be insanely high, but you want to look for something at least 5 and up, 4 and up. When it comes to hit advantage, that's always really good for restands, and most characters have a decent restand so long as it doesn't do a hard knockdown. So it's really just understanding all of those numbers and everything else, when you can press buttons, when you can't press buttons, when you should press buttons, and when you're going to get punished for doing something. And learning how to restand people, understanding the startup of certain moves so you know when to do certain moves over other moves. Understanding startup is really good for understanding what strings can punish the best and what strings do the most damage with the quickest startup, how long your moves are active for, and how long they have a recovery for if you do take a chance of whiffing a move. Understanding those numbers, once you actually get into it and dive into it, it's not that hard to understand, but it still can take a little bit. It's definitely one of the easier things to learn when it comes to a fighting game I've noticed, compared to like learning how to play footsies and neutral and, you know, all of these other crazy horseshit terms that we will be going over. This one's just one of the more complicated things if you are a dipshit to math like I am. I don't understand math that well, so it took me a little bit longer, but I hope this has helped you. But anyways, guys, that's going to do it for this video. Really long fight talk today, but I wanted to go over this fighting game mechanic for you guys and try to teach you guys a little bit more about fighting games, and we're going to be doing that over the next few weeks with different fighting game terms, since there's not really any big fighting game news going around. But yeah, that's going to do it for this video. Let me know if it helps you out in the comments below. Make sure to at least try it, and hopefully you can understand what I'm talking about when it comes to the whole subtracting and adding stuff. It's a little bit confusing for even me, and I know what it is and how to use it. But that's going to do it for this video. Don't forget about the Patreon. Again, you can go to the link in the description down below and support the channel over there and have your name at the end of every video at the end credits. It helps keep us going. As I said, ads do not pay a lot, and it really helps keep the channel going. We also have a tournament series going on for all you mad lads who would like to actually put this frame data shit to use. We will have the Smash.gg page up for week 3 very soon. We've had a lot of problems out of it, so make sure to stay tuned for that. I'll post the links in the Discord for the TMC, on my Twitter, and on YouTube in the community section, so stay tuned for that. And also don't forget about the Aftermath giveaway we have going on. You can go to the link in the description down below to that, and it will tell you how to enter in that video. Anyways, guys, I hope you guys did enjoy the video. Please leave me a like, a comment, and subscribe to the channel. I hope you guys enjoyed. Again, I just repeated myself. My name is Tootin, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace out.